Gandalf the Grey and Gandalf the White and Monty Python and the Holy Grail's Black Knight and...
Lord of the Rings is the book series of all time, and I mean that in a good way.
Starting off as a tale about a fruity little man named Bilbo stopping a dragon from harassing some dwarves, it eventually sprung into a story about how this dude is freaking evil. The story is basically the fantasy story, creating a movie trilogy that is amazing, as well as a trilogy based on the predecessor that is kinda bad.
Of course, with any franchise as famous as Lord of the Rings, there's bound to be games. So today I'm going to be going through 7 games. 3 Hobbit, 4 Lord of the Rings. First one we have is one of the most primitive forms of game, the text-based adventure. Released in 1982 on every platform you'd expect to find text-based games on, The Hobbit is the oldest game we have today. However, I have a very particular relationship with text-based adventure games. Unless it's the Oregon Trail, I don't like these games.
We start off in what I assume is Bilbo's house, only this time he spilled lean all over the floor. You see Gandalf. Gandalf is carrying a curious map. Thorin.
JR, you are a genius.
Gandalf gives the curious map to you.
There's a monkey on here.
Look at the curious map? I do not know the verb look at.
This computer hasn't finished grade school.
I misspelled the word view really badly, and I guess backspace functionality just didn't exist back then. Or it was a different key because the standard layout was good enough. Okay, maybe just view. I do not know the word view. What is your problem? Are you a newborn? I know you're not since you were born in the 80s. Babies don't last that long. I accidentally just put the letter F and Bilbo fell over.
Did I do that, or was the game getting impatient?
Gandalf opens the round green door, and Thorin says hurry up. Okay, so saying go through door seemed to work. Now the game needs to take a minute to generate a big yellow and blue zone. Okay, so now we can go east, north, northeast. We go east and end up inside a creepypasta. Apparently this is the Trolls Clearing. Trolls sure do love to cover the floor in hyper-realistic blood. You see the hideous troll.
Come on, man, that's rude.
The troll is carrying the large key.
Ah, I see. Yeah. Definitely hideous.
The hideous troll says, "Blimey, look at this. Can you cook him?" The vicious troll... Okay, when it said the vicious troll, I assumed it was just looking for another adjective. That's not how you imply there's 2 of them. I decided to just run, and now I'm in a green zone. It looks more like an MS Paint giraffe. I go south back to the troll's den and get eaten by the troll, which kills me, but also kills the troll himself. You have mastered 2.5% of this adventure.
And that's all the adventure that I need to master. Next game. Springing over to the 6th generation of game consoles, we have The Hobbit, precursor to The Lord of the Rings. We have both the GameCube and GBA versions of the game. Let's start with the GameCube version.
This is the tale.
Oh my... why do his hands look like that? The box art made me think it was gonna be cartoony, but no. This is just Brawl. Surely Gollum can't look any more terrifying.
My precious.
Surely Gollum can't look any worse than that. Foreshadowing is a literary device.
After a quick sizzle reel of most of the original book's major events were brought to the title screen, we start a new game and get some of the basic story beats of the original story, but presented in this cute hand-drawn art style. Our first major level is the tutorial level, Dream World. Big fan of the mouth animations on the in-engine cutscenes. It's like his mouth has code assigned to it. Remember when I said this was a tutorial level? Our first major level is the tutorial level, Dream World. Of course you do, I said it just a few seconds ago. Well, to start off, it doesn't tell you any of the controls. But hey, I don't see any health bars going down, so maybe I'll be okay. After that, we're given the cutscene of Gandalf telling Bilbo to go to the Green Dragon Inn, but I like how they made Gandalf interrupt Bilbo.
Waiting. But no time for it, and no time to pack.
Ah, Cousin Falco.
Now, this may come as a surprise to some of you, but this game is actually kind of fun. Even just making my way over to the Green Dragon Inn was pretty damn fun. Wood. But yeah, I was excited to keep playing this game. That was until...
Hey, Bilbo! Wanna play some hide and seek?
I'm afraid I'm in a bit of a hurry.
We'll go hide, you seek. Ready? Go!
Look, I know that I look like this, but I do not play hide and seek with children. I am moving on to the GBA version.
What's my name? Well, Fuges isn't very hobbity enough, so what about Frumpblanc? How does the story begin this time? Well, I guess the storybook presentation was too powerful for the GBA, so instead they gave Gandalf the most terrifying walk cycle I've ever seen. Do you feel that it's a good morning whether I like it or not? Or that you feel good this morning? Now, I haven't read the book, so unless that's a line from the book... Shut up, bro. Or that it is a morning to be good on. Shut up, bro. All of them at once?
Don't encourage him.
Adventures? They suck. They make a hobbit late for dinner. Good morning.
Ah, saying good morning is his vocal stem.
No, you mean the morning won't be good until I leave.
Okay, if that's what the original dialogue actually sounds like, I'm gonna get so many angry comments. It sounds weird when it's presented on a Game Boy Advance. Does that cover me?
The sequence of events in this version is pretty different from the GameCube version. The part that's initially told as a storybook segment is now playable. You get to explore Bilbo's house before the dwarves show up. I think keeping meat in the chest is very in character for a hobbit. We make our way outside and some kid was given firecrackers. We get our first item of the game. Since this version is more like a Zelda game than the GameCube version, item equipping works very similarly to a Zelda game. We use the fireworks to make our way into this well and... we find a shield rune. This next part is that we have to sneak around this dog to get through the gate. Because as we all know, dogs have massive hitboxes and if you don't sneak around them, you can't get past them. But make sure you go back to the load point so that you can put them back to sleep.
Not like that.
Okay, that is a very hyper-realistic donkey for a game with this art style. Guess this game still went by Brawl rules.
So as long as we don't see any more hyper-realistic blood, we'll be fine.
I broke these pots because, you know, this is a Zelda game. This guy thanked me for it and gave me some money. Once we arrive at the Green Dragon Inn, we talk to this guy who's obviously just a recolored Bilbo. I mean, this is on the Nintendo console. He tells us that he heard the dwarves talking about going to our house.
Hey man, what's up? By the way, the Mafia's looking for you.
We then have to backtrack to Bilbo's house, but because every house in Hobbiton looks the same, I almost walked past it. This is when we meet the dwarves, and much like the Bilbo recolor, the dwarves are also recolors. So Bilbo doesn't understand what being non-binary means.
Maybe he is my dad.
Oh, so Bomber gets a unique sprite, but Beaufort D's Nuts is another alt costume? Thorin I get because he gets king privileges, but what the fuck did Bomber do to deserve a unique sprite? So yeah, the parts that the GameCube version skipped over, we had to play through, and the parts that we got to play through in that version are skipped over. Gandalf is gyrating back and forth in a chair, and he still looks terrifying. So now we have to go back to the Green Dragon Inn. In the GameCube version, it made sense that they skipped it because it would be unnecessary, but in this version, I think they went out of their way to make it the bad one. Again, if Gandalf doesn't want me to think he's threatening, he shouldn't arrange himself with the dwarves like that one Big Bang Theory image. So now we get to the actual meat of the game, navigating the overworld while fighting enemies. What enemies? Rats! I mean, I guess the best form of pest control is trapping that pest inside a Game Boy. Bilbo, you don't look well. Perhaps you should eat some food.
Bitch, I have 22 health.
We're introduced to even more enemies, such as Beetle and Wasp. There's caves, and I guess they couldn't afford the different theme song for them. Imagine if World 1-2 had the same song as World 1-1. After exiting the cave, I got attacked by a wasp, went into the next section, went back to try and fight the wasp, and it turned into a rat.
Why wasn't that in the books?
Find something that can break down this wall? Well, of course, the fireworks should do the trick. Until they don't.
Now that we've gone through the Hobbit side of games, it's time to move on to the real meat of this video, the Lord of the Rings games.
Where Bilbo's invisibility perk was actually him turning into a ghoul.
For Fellowship, we have the GBA version. Fun fact, to prepare for this video, I actually decided to watch through the movies. Of course, with the time I had, the only one I got to watching was the theatrical cut of Fellowship. And let me tell you, if I did not watch that movie, then the opening of this game would have been very confusing.
The way Bilbo's birthday party is depicted here feels like a fever dream. And third, I wish to make an announcement.
Shadow the Hedgehog's a bitch-ass motherfucker!
I'm sorry, I had to. I had no other choice.
If you told me this game reused assets from the last game, I would call you a liar because the only sprite they have in common is Gandalf. We get the conversation between Bilbo and Gandalf, but they're just standing still in the room together, staring into each other's eyes, like the lovers they are. One thing that's worth pointing out is that Bilbo constantly seems like his pathfinding is off. I am going now, Frodo. Also, as you can probably tell, despite this game releasing pretty close to the movie, the characters look nothing like their actors. I mean, maybe you could find Ian McKellen under all those pixels, but never mind, disregard everything I've said, that is exactly what Elijah Wood looks like. Now Sam? That's a me. That's a fucking me. Finally, we get to play as Frodo, and does everyone in the game have a weird walk cycle? You know what? I should save my game.
Uh-huh. I see now.
Did I do something wrong? Are there other games that do this? Why does saving the game bring you back to the main menu? What if you're someone who constantly saves out of fear? If you're like that, this game is basically unplayable. Then once I get back into the game, there's no music. Black Label Games. Please learn. Going into the bedroom. Who is this? Why are you in my house? Why is Sancho Proudfoot in my house? Can Frodo pull? Is he into gilfs? What the fuck is happening? Even when we go outside, the music is still completely gone. Never mind. Apparently we can trade in this game. That sounds interesting. Cornus Bolger looks identical to Sancho Proudfoot, but looks nothing like their overworld sprite. Also, trading is just how you buy items. Mr. Hornblower. Okay, is this gonna be the sprite for every Hobbit? This is even worse than Black Mesa's cloning machine, because at least there were 4 variants. Every Hobbit looks like this. Oh, but Everard Took gets to look different from those two? What is it with Lord of the Rings games on Game Boy Advance that reuse talking sprites for characters and then for no reason give a character a unique talking sprite? Seriously. Oh, we can't go without Pippin? Well, clearly you've turned into a voice in my head, so maybe I'm actually leaving on my own. Master Grub wants to trade us Willow Withies for a walking stick. Mr. Bracegirdle doesn't even get a talking sprite. Guess they got self-conscious after I called them out for reusing the face.
Okay, I am tired of Lord of the Rings games on the GBA. They confuse me, they scare me. Let's move back to the GameCube for the next game, The Two Towers.
Two Towers begins with the Fellowship monologue. Like legit, this is ripped footage from that movie as an FMV. Either way, I'll probably have to edit the hell out of this video because Warner Brothers is Warner Brothers. Fuck you, EA. Also, this is unskippable. Believe me, I tried. Of course, the game seamlessly transitions from FMV to in-game graphics. Kinda like Arthur and the Invisibles on the PS2.
What do you mean that's a bad example?
This is our tutorial level, which I guess is why they showed the beginning of this movie in the first place. That's rude. After a few minutes of fighting, the volcano erupts, and then we're still fighting. Whenever you hit an enemy, it will give you such lines of encouragement as excellent, fair, good, a shoulder swift terror.
Fair?
After a few more minutes of killing, we get a wonderful GameCube-era depiction of Sauron himself finally appearing. Ashildur's neck is weird. Of course, it then goes back into FMV footage from the movie for Sauron getting his fingy sliced. It then seamlessly transitions back into in-game graphics before we finally get some gameplay. This game just loves transitioning between the two before eventually we get a fight with a ring wraith. Of course, Frodo also has a health bar here, but usually that's only an issue when there's more than one enemy, because I just ended up occupying the thing on my own. Where did you come from? Frodo is fighting too? I got my shit smacked.
Let's move on to the final movie-based game, Return of the King.
Seeing the words Electronic Arts in that font is something magical. Imagine if Nintendo was written like this. We start with, god damn it, more FMVs from the movie? Were they trying to video-proof this game? I don't know if this is the emulator or if the GameCube had this much trouble with FMVs, but... I will admit that the transition to in-game graphics in this version isn't as graceful because for one, there's a bright flash of light, and two, it transitions to this. Not even 1 second into gameplay and I'm already getting my shit rocked.
Swiftly attack these Uruk-hai.
Yeah, bro?
He shrugs off their blows!
Yeah, bro? Much like the Two Towers, this tutorial section is a beatdown of a bunch of enemies. Only this time we get some ladder action.
I'm here, Legolas!
That's the most whimsical Gandalf I've ever heard. Some days, I feel like I'm the Gandalf walk cycle. After the tutorial, the cutscene once again cheats at transitioning us back to the movie scenes. Come on, that's a super wide, that doesn't count. Why is Sam part of our party if he was nowhere to be seen during the tutorial? What about Frodo? This is the weirdest exclusion here. We get even more footage from Fellowship. I sure hope the movies don't do this because this is like the trailer for Illumination's Migration.
What do you mean that's a bad example?
Now to be fair, a recap of the other movies makes sense with the mindset of, my son has a GameCube, and he needs a video game. Oh look, Lord of the Rings. Popular IP. I trust this product. So giving them a lore recap makes sense. Of course, my favorite part of the movie comes up here, the part where they tell us about GBA link cable. Apparently you can transfer 1,000 upgrade points.
Boring.
Anyways, we're brought to our character select screen, and that sure is Aragorn, that sure is Legolas, that sure is Gimli, that sure is... Wait, what do you mean locked? We just played as him, for the tutorial. Oh, so now Frodo is playable? Why isn't he in the art? I want Frodo in my playable character renders. Of course, I have to play as Gimli for his most famous line. I'm fighting next to an elf. After a loading screen with the crustiest GameCube controller I've ever seen, we get more reused footage.
What is your problem, bro?
They do get a bit better at not wussing out on the FMV to in-game transitions. Maybe there's a reason they started hiding it. Trying out some of Gimli's attacks. What is this one supposed to be? There's this white fog that slows you down, as most white fogs do. We find a pile of bones and kill some enemies. Then after walking a bit, we find a pile of bones and kill some enemies. Then we walk through some fog.
I have a very bad feeling about this place.
Your feelings are justified. Turns out there are some invisible bones in the fog, so we kill some enemies. Then we find a pile of bones and kill some enemies. Then we find 3 piles of bones and kill some enemies.
Thank God. For a second, I thought this game was going to be repetitive.
Of course, how else could I have ended this play session than finding some piles of bones and killing some enemies? Now I see why you won so many Oscars, Return of the King.
So that's all well and good. But I know why you're really here. I know why you really clicked on this video. Unless you completely forgot about the next game I'm going to talk about, which I don't blame you. There is a Lord of the Rings game that released last year, and this game lives in complete infamy. Of course, I'm talking about Lord of the Rings Gollum.
Fun fact, this game was shown off at PAX East 2023, and even though I was at that PAX, I didn't run into it.
Why didn't I get to experience art?
We got a glimpse of a beast just to receive a slightly different one. What the hell kind of downloadable content would be available for this? This pack includes 6 iconic emotes inspired by the character Gollum, which you can use to proclaim "My Precious" and express a range of emotions in the game whenever you want. Look, even for $3, that's overpriced. We start the game with a cutscene where POV, you are Gollum. Oh, that's a reflection, alright. We cut to this scene of Gollum in some fucking holding cell. I don't know, I haven't seen a cell that looks like this. So this is a scene where Gandalf harasses Gollum. At least, I think he's Gandalf. He looks kinda like him, but in the subtitles he's just called Wizard. Maybe it's an imposter. This game takes a lot of inspiration from the Hobbit game because it shifts to a hand-drawn cutscene. This cutscene basically just explains that yes, Bilbo stole the ring from Gollum. Alright, a loading screen. Guess we're finally getting into some gameplay.
The loading screen seems to have a trickster nature.
Then once we finally get gameplay... Want to know what playing Lord of the Rings Gollum is like? What sound does Gollum make when touching fire? So yeah, if you want a game about running around as a skinny little freak with bad platforming, Lord of the Rings Gollum is the game for you. I guess this opening was supposed to be cinematic because we're hearing Gollum give us lore wiki summaries, while Gandalf asks a bunch of questions while we also run around a mountain. Eat your heart out, Kojima. Once we make it back to Gollum's flat... Damn bitch, you live like this? Then we hear a bird and we have to chase it down because Gollum has never lived in the suburbs. Okay, I have no idea what this cave drawing is supposed to be. Like the other one shows what my average Thanksgiving looks like. This one is supposed to be a spider, but I don't know, Gollum, you need to use less faint paint. Your ass is not getting commissions. Gollum, being Gollum, assumes the bird is a spy.
Yeah, I guess the woodpecker who kept waking me up in my old bedroom was also a spy.
Damn, didn't know Gollum was like that. Huh, just like Sonic Lost World.
What do you mean that's a bad thing?
This segment with the orcs is when we're introduced to the game's stealth mechanics. You walk slowly in the bushes. Eat your heart out, Kojima. After chasing the bird for a bit, I didn't realize we took a full loop around and, well...
There we go.
Damn, that shit kills you?
Tried to do it again.
It's not my fault, there weren't any bushes. So, with those 7 games under our belt, what did we learn about Lord of the Rings games? In my opinion, not enough. There's so many more Hobbit and Lord of the Rings games. I mean, there's Lord of the Rings Online, Lego Hobbit, Lego Lord of the Rings, Lord of the Rings...